Okay, there's a couple ways that we're going to go about finding segment lengths. We have the ruler postulate that we're going to talk about. We have the segment addition postulate, and we're going to talk about what happens when two segments are congruent and what that means. Okay. The first one we're going to discuss is the ruler postulate. Basically says the points on a number line can be put into one-to-one correspondence with those on a ruler. Okay, so what you would do is compare points on a number line with numbers on a ruler. So if this is our number line and we have A, well, let's make this capital, A and B are our points. To find the length of a segment, it's really the distance in between those points, right? So if we have number values to represent those points, we would take the difference between them. So we would want A minus B or B minus A. It's not really going to matter. If you end up with a negative, we should know that negatives or distance cannot be negative. So, you know, if I were walking from -5 to -1, what's the distance in between those 2 points? From -5 to -1. How many steps would I have to take? 4. I wouldn't be taking -4 steps. The distance is a positive value. So the way that we want to make sure we get a positive no matter what is to take the absolute value of the difference. So if I put number values to A and B, for instance, if I use, I'll do another one, 3 and 12, okay, that's going to be pretty easy. I'm sure most of you just looking at it know how many spaces between 3 and 12. But just to use the postulate, that would be, I could do 3 minus 12 or 12 minus 3. If you want to do the bigger minus the smaller, okay, that would give me 9, and the absolute value of 9 is still 9, okay. But if I throw a negative in there, okay, a lot of my students in algebra would look at this and say the distance between those two is 3. What would they be doing wrong to say that?
Because you gotta go, like on the number line, you gotta go all the way back to 7 and then all the way up to 3.
Yeah, to walk from -7 to +10, you first have to come through 0 and then all your positives. So you don't just add 10 to -7, although that would be convenient. We would have to do either 10 minus -7 or -7 minus 10, whichever you prefer. If I did -7 minus 10, then I would end up with the absolute value of -17, which would give me a length for that segment of 17. Okay, so that is using the ruler postulate. Now, one of the things you want to keep in mind is some of this stuff, I realize you're going to look at it, and a lot of you are going to be able to do that in your head without even picking up a calculator or writing something down. Okay? The problem is if you don't write anything down beside the answer, and in that quick moment you do your addition or subtraction wrong, then your answer is 100% wrong. Okay? if you give me a little bit of insight to your train of thought, and you say, well, I know that it is -7 minus 10, and you turn around mistakenly and put 3, this is at least correct where that's not. Now instead of marking you off completely, I can give you half credit, all right? So the more work that you can show to show me what you actually understand, you might set yourself up better in the end with your final score, okay? So my point is, please show any work that you can, because I can't read your mind. I don't know if you don't understand any of it, or if it was just a simple addition or subtraction error, all right? All right, so they're going to also have you comparing segment lengths. So comparing segment lengths will involve finding segment lengths first, and then determining if they are congruent or not. Okay, so I guess we should talk about congruence. We're going to say congruence refers to figures with the same measure. We're going to talk a lot throughout the year about things that are congruent. Okay, angles are going to be the same degrees if they're congruent. Triangles, if they're congruent, are going to be same shape, same length sides, same measure of angles. Okay, so same measure, same size, everything. So figures with same measure, you can also write in here same shape and size. So from this diagram, we're going to determine if some segments are congruent. Now, if I wanted to show work on this completely, I would use the ruler postulate. So AB is from -8 to -4. So AB would be -8 minus -4. So that minus the negative turns into plus, right? So that would be -4 or a length of 4. BC is -4 minus -2, which would be -4 plus 2, absolute value of -2, or 2. So if we're comparing 4 and 2, then they clearly are not the same length. So we'd say no. We also should talk about the symbol for congruence. Okay, that symbol is an equal sign, but because we only talk about equal with numbers, not figures, we put a little tilde over the top. That is actually the congruence symbol. Alright, so to say something's not equal or not congruent, quite often they'll use the symbol and put a line through it. You really don't even need the not.